Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the parchment paper method to work on one of the fabric collage patterns that I have created. We're going to start working on this cute little giraffe. When you buy the pattern off Etsy, which I will have my Etsy shop linked below, you will get a color photo of the pattern. You can print this out. You don't have to print this out. You can view this on your computer just so you can save some ink, but it will show you all of the colors of fabric that you're going to want to look for when you're shopping for this collage. You'll get a black and white so you can see your shades there. I like to use the color, and I normally don't print mine out. I normally just look at it on the computer, but printed it out for this video. And then this specific giraffe is pretty large, so you'll print it on a few separate sheets of paper here with some red lines that will show you how to connect the pattern. There are just the tiniest amount of blank space here that you can cut out. You don't have to. These are my yucky fabric scissors, so they're not fabric scissors anymore, so don't come at me for using fabric scissors on paper. But I'm just gonna trim off that tiny little edge there on each piece of the giraffe. Just guessed me here. I didn't guesstimate very well on this one, but that's okay. It'll be approximate. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the reasons why I love fabric collage, is because it definitely does not have to be perfect. So we'll just slice that off. I have a little bit on every page, so I'm going to cut off every page. One more here. And this one's really close. There. That way my lines will just line up just a little bit better. And then I will piece these. Got some red lines going across there that just show you exactly how it lines up, and I will use just regular clear Scotch tape to tape that down here. Right now I'm just taping the pattern together. This is one of the beginner-friendly patterns. It's got some large pieces and some smaller pieces if you're just learning how to collage. Oh, there, he's together. I have a smaller desk, so I may just chop off the top a little bit here. I like the big rolls of parchment paper because I can size it just how I like. If you know you're going to be doing a smaller project, you can feel free to use the sheets that come pre-sized. I'm cutting it large enough to fit over Mr. Giraffe here. And just so he doesn't move, I'm going to tape him down using masking tape here. There we go. And I have my roll of parchment paper, so that's going to go just on top. Long enough there. I'm going to scoot it over just a tad. And then I am going to tape that down. Duct tape works best here, but I don't have any. So I'm just going to do my best with the masking tape to get it stuck down. It actually does a really terrible job, so I might try the Scotch tape too. It'll work, it just really doesn't want to stick to that parchment paper, which is why we use the parchment paper, so that we can unstick our fabric later. I can never seem to get it quite flat either. Lay it as flat as you possibly can so that you can still see the giraffe through the paper there. One more. There he is. Okay. So we're ready to get started. I use a bunch of pre-cut Joann Fabrics fat quarters, just the cheap stuff. This is going on the wall, so I don't really care if it's super nice fabric. You might, and that's fine. This here is Pellin Wonder Under. This is what you're going to use to iron. You can also use Steam-A-Seam, which you can get from Amazon. Relatively inexpensive. So you're just going to cut a piece maybe about this big. It doesn't have to be super huge. We're going to put it on some of our fabric, and then we will just be using those little pieces throughout this whole collage. So I'm gonna look at my colors here. And you can see when you're looking at this collage, we're gonna be doing layers. You want everything to stick to each other so that when you pull it off at the end, it's one big piece. It's the whole giraffe. You pull it off and you can stick it onto your background, whatever that might be. So when I look at my colors here, I want to look, it takes some strategy. You'll learn the strategy maybe after you try it a couple of times and get the hang of it. But I'm looking underneath and kind of building my way up. So right now I've got my eye on this brown piece here. So I want to find a color that's going to be good here. Some of my tans, my golds, and then I'll work my way up into these darker browns through layers. So let me start with this brown here. I'm really liking this fabric for that. I'm going to take my fabric to the wrong side. And my Wonder Under, you can feel there's a softer side, and then there's the side that is the side that's going to kind of melt when you steam it down. And you want that melty side to go toward the back of your fabric. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I have my little tiny iron here that's going to help me out. You press it on. Okay. And then find my fabric scissors that are still fabric scissors. Oh, they might be worse than the others. I really need a new pair of fabric scissors. Real bad. Yeah, I think they are. Okay, so that's on my list, new fabric scissors. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, so I've got one piece there. He's already kind of wrinkling up here, so. Just because I use the iron on top of it. And that'll happen the whole time because you're gonna be ironing these pieces onto the parchment paper, but you can just kind of press down and see. So next, I've got another little piece of parchment paper here. And I'm just gonna cut a piece that I know is gonna be long enough for that little tan part. I don't want to work with the whole roll of parchment paper because it's going to keep rolling up on me like that. Okay, and then I'm going to find that tan part there. Put my little square on top of it. And with a pencil, I'm going to trace. Now this is where a little bit of strategy comes in. I know the edge of my giraffe is right here, so I don't want to go any wider than that edge. But when I'm tracing around all of these other pieces, the other edges, I know that I'm going to want that piece to be underneath some of the other pieces. So when I'm working on a layer that is underneath in the collage, I'm gonna trace it a little bit bigger than what I have here. So not perfect, just tracing a little bit larger than what the actual piece is, unless I'm on that outside edge of that giraffe. Actually, that's not even the outside edge of the giraffe, is it? Looks like there's gonna be a little bit, so that's okay. Again, not perfect. So now that I've got this piece done, I'm gonna take it to the top of my fabric because I've traced it on top. That's the picture that I want. And I am just going to cut around the edge. Some of the really long skinny pieces are a little bit tougher to just hold and cut. So another thing that you can do is peel up the edge of what you've ironed. It's a little bit tricky. I've already ironed this piece. And trace it on here. Trace my exact piece. There it is. Now it's on your sticky side, and you can iron that again. Make it stick. Now you've got your shape, and you don't have to worry about folding that down. I'm using thread cutting shears right now. I don't have anything special. I'm pretty new at fabric collage, so I have not even invested in all of the right tools, but you don't really need any of those. It's just a lot easier having smaller scissors to cut around some of these edges. And it really would help if I had some good fabric shears, but both of mine are ruined. So I am cutting this exact shape. When you're doing fabric collage like this, that's a picture like this, sometimes it's easier to do the exact shapes. You don't always have to do exact shapes when you're doing fabric collage. Okay, so I've got my tan piece here. Fits just like this. So now, let me see here. Just gonna take a pin to the underside. And that helps to keep the edges from fraying. When you're trying to peel the fabric from an edge, they might start to fray a little bit. Just want to keep that minimal. You're peeling off the Wonder Under, and you're gonna find where that lines up. I keep doing it upside down. That's about right. And you'll give it an iron. So once you do that, that sticks pretty well right there. And then you'll look at your colors again and see which one do I want to do next. And I think I might do this little tan here. I'll do this little corner here so you can see what some of the dots, the spots on the giraffe will look like. So let's do this tan piece here. Now I am just gonna use, I think this color is pretty nice. So this one, I do have some pre-cut colors that already have the Wonder Under on them, but this one needs it. Not perfect, just a little cut. Wow, those scissors can't even cut that. And the underside of your fabric. Press the Wonder Under on. Okay, let's try these. These are bad, but they're not as bad as the others. just have a pile of fabrics next to me that I think I'm going to like for this giraffe. So now, this tan spot here, when I put it on, I know it's going to be underneath these two spots, but it's going to be on top of this brown one. So I'm gonna make the perfect edge right here when I trace, but I might just make it a little bit bigger around the other edges. So, I didn't use all of this piece, so I'm gonna use it again. Now, what's nice about the Wonder Under and the Steam is you can just pull up that edge a little bit, and that's what I do here to trace the perfect edge on this side, but again, it's going underneath everything else, so not perfect, a little larger than the actual size. I'm just gonna cut this guy. Okay. I'll show you here without the tracing. You're just going to put that little piece on top of your fabric, hold it down as best you can, and cut around. Okay, so there's that piece. And my pin. Just make a nice little slice so I don't have to pull from the edges. Doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. Peel that guy off. Okay, now I have to figure out which was my perfect edge, which is that, I think. So I traced it underneath the piece that I already put down, but it's going to be ironed on top. Iron it down. It is really fun to watch these start to come together. Pick up my colors again. We have like a darker brown and then a really dark brown. So let's see. I know what I want to use for my really dark brown, but that one. I will use I'm liking this one for that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. That's kind of the fun part. Well, there's a lot of fun parts to doing fabric collage, but one of my favorite parts is just deciding which color is going to go where. And that part doesn't have to be perfect either. I'll just finish up this little corner on camera so that you can see it come together. People that are really into fabric collage or want to get into it, they have even smaller irons than this. They're called wand irons, and they're just like a little iron on the end of a stick. I'm looking into getting myself one of those. Okay, just throw that fabric to the side. Cut myself another piece of parchment paper here. And then another nice thing is once you have pieces like this cut out and you have this little parchment along the side, save that, because you're gonna come up here to the giraffe's face and you'll have a tiny little piece like that. And some of this extra parchment paper, some of your extra fabric that's already on Steam-A-Seam or Wonder Under is gonna be perfect for those little pieces. So hang on to those. All right, I'm gonna make this even smaller here. And then I know this is gonna go on top of these two pieces, but under on this side, a perfect edge down here. And then this little piece is going on top of this dark brown. So I'm not even gonna bother cutting that out because I'm just gonna stick that part right on top. So again, these peel off. The more you peel them off, just be careful because the fabric can stretch and it can come out of the picture, out of its shape. Okay, putting that right on there. I want a nice, a little bigger on this side, but perfect edge up here. I say perfect, but again, does not have to be perfect. Okay. I kind of want some of the darker pieces of this fabric, so I'm going to put it right here. It's a fun little edge. So I've started making these patterns. They're available on Etsy right now. I have a giraffe, this giraffe available. I have a hummingbird and a raccoon. And I'm currently working on, it should be up later this week, maybe even this evening. I'm working on a sea turtle. And I've created a Facebook group. I haven't marketed at all, so I have 0 members. If you join the Facebook group, if you're the first person to join the Facebook group, I will send you a pattern of your choice for free. And then if you invite people and they join, you will get another pattern for free. And then I am also working on a pattern that will be in the group files for everyone for free. So I will link the Etsy shop down below. Okay, I really ironed this one on good, so. I'll link the Etsy shop down below and then find the group on Facebook for Collage Cottage fabric patterns. I really stuck this one on good, so it's sticking to the fabric pretty well here. Just working on getting it off. Okay. So that one I'm just gonna put right on top. But before I iron it, since I know I'm gonna need that little piece too, I'm just gonna trace that one. And I'm using one of my other cutouts because it's large enough. This one I'm going right around that shape because it's going on top. Doesn't have to be bigger than the others. And I already have my dark brown on the Wonder Under. And I even have a smaller piece. Fabric collage is so good for like using up all your little scraps. You can get one of those accordion binder folder things and organize by color. I just keep all of these little scraps because like again, those tiny little pieces up there, I can be using the same colors that I've used for other collages in the past. That's why this dark brown already has the Wonder Under on it, because I used it for a little bunny for springtime. Okay, that one's done. Some of these little guys get really kind of tricky. All right, so I've got my two pieces. I know this one goes kind of like that on top of this one. So I'm gonna put this one down and iron it. And then this one goes somewhere right down here. So not perfect. It's not exactly on, but there it is. Okay. And then you'll just kind of work your way up. And some pieces will be underneath others. I do like to do specific layers, like with the ears. If you know, if you're looking at a giraffe and you know that this little black piece might be like deeper within the ear, then you're gonna put it underneath these other layers. But you'll learn that as you go. And it's relatively easy to just rip this off and put on a new piece. Once it is connected to the other fabric, however, it is pretty difficult. You can tear it off, but at that point you might be like stretching and fraying the fabric. So just measure once, measure twice, cut once. But it's not a huge deal until you're like to the end, if you have to rip one off and try it again. And then once you're done with the whole thing, you'll just take one of the edges and peel up, and since all of the fabric pieces are ironed to each other, the whole thing will come off in one picture. And that's when you can place it on your background and quilt it all together. So again, join the Facebook group. I'll have it linked below. I'm not sure if I can link the Facebook group below, but I will definitely link the Etsy page below, and then find the Facebook group for Collage Cottage fabric patterns, fabric collage patterns, and join. So if you're the first person, send me a message and you'll get your choice of the 3 patterns I have available, or the turtle, which is not quite done yet, but he's almost there. And I am gonna keep working on making a few more. I can also do customs. So send me a message with a photo and I can make a fabric collage pattern of just the subject in the photo, or the subject in the photo with a nice background, whatever you're looking for there. And then that, I think, as far as the sizes go of these, like this giraffe guy right now, all I have on Etsy are one size, but I can easily resize them. So if you are interested in the giraffe, but you wanted to make him like really, really big, send me a message. I'll be happy to resize it for you and make a really big guy. All right, and that is the parchment paper method for fabric collage. Thanks for watching.